Making sure Twitch is working. Yada yada yada. 5 minutes late. This would not pass in the Soviet Union.
Herb, you gotta start selling this
Oh,
stuff.
Japan, you just ruined everyone's commute
I know.
for the entire day.
would hang you for that.
Herb, you gotta start selling this
Oh,
stuff.
Japan, you just ruined.
Okay, let's go ahead and get this started here. So today we're talking about UGC Questing. I think it turned 2 today, which and nobody laughed, by the way, at the title of the release, which is a release called Quest. We all loved it in the office, and so that was just sort of a general disappointment. So I'm complaining to you all for not laughing at our humor. That's some feedback for the community. Just
I exhaled sharply through my nose.
You're like, but today we're gonna be taking some feedback about the questing. So I actually imagine, just because I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it, that a lot of you haven't tried questing yet, or you're sort of waiting. So we'll also just sort of, so you know what's coming, is I'm working with the folks in the office who have tons of questing experience from working at other gaming companies, and we're working on some best practices content that I'll share with you all. And then in about a month, I think, maybe a couple of weeks, I have to double check the date, I'm going to bring those same folks in for a questing sort of tutorial event, so that we can all sit and learn from people with decades and decades of gaming experience, some of the I guess milestone, or some of the key points of making a good quest. So hopefully everybody will come to that, and of course we'll record it, so if you can't make it, you can watch it later. You guys met Istari last week, who is one of the main folks working on Quest, and he's been doing, I think, gaming Quest and whatnot for 20 years or so, and he'll be there as well. So anyway, I'll also be releasing tips via Steam about questing, gathering some best practices from the team, and then I'll post those in Discord as well. So there's a bunch of quest stuff coming up, in case you haven't gotten started yet. But let's go ahead and get started here. So who's up?
I think I'm technically listed as the speaker here, but
Yeah. Yes.
more than anything, I think we just want to open the floor to questions, comments, feedback for the tool that you've used, feedback for consuming other players' quests, any questions you have about upcoming features and improvements, and any suggestions you might have in that front.
Yeah,
So the floor is yours.
So we do have one question from chat.
That's right. Majeka asked, when IRU created... Okay, I'm echoing
Sorry.
somewhere. Okay. When IRU create a quest, is it published the moment I/U click save, or can it be published later on in the process?
Yeah, it's a good question. Zorba already answered a bit of it in text, but I'll cover it here again. There's basically 2 steps to creating a quest. There's creating the quest data in the create quest tool, and then there's associating that quest data with objects in a scene and then publishing that scene. So the quest is technically live, quote unquote, as soon as you've entered all the data into the quest system, but no one will be able to participate or interact with that quest until you associate one of your experiences with that quest. So that would be a quest giver and then some quest interactions to take care of those objectives. And then you can build that whole quest and keep testing your own scene without technically publishing your scene, just privately to yourself, for as long as you want. And I mean, you could build a quest just for yourself and your own private experience if you wanted. And as soon as you're happy with it, you can just make that experience public to the world.
Excellent. All right. So thanks for that question. What else do we have here? So when do we Jesus? When do we get high heels? When do we get Space Navigator support? When does Gindip? Okay, we're gonna go through these one at a time. Silas, thank you for all of this. It's good to get it out of the way early. When do we get high heels? The answer is it's not on the roadmap. I'll just take that. When do we get Space Navigator support? When do we get that?
It is also not on the roadmap.
But someone hacked something, right? It's still working.
Not to my knowledge, I don't know. I have not personally seen it. If we were going to do Space Navigator support, we would want to
It was
do...
not from the lab, it was someone outside of the lab.
Okay. I haven't seen it personally. If someone's hacked it in,
Actually work though.
that's fine. If we were going to do that, we would do general purpose gamepad support and mappable key bindings and all of that stuff, but that is not currently on the roadmap.
All right. When does Gindipple get a wiki? Well, Gindipple can make his own wiki. But if we're talking about a Sansar wiki that's officially supported, again, we have set up the... Kara, can you please go to your mic? We have set up the user-generated or the user guides page on the forum, and the more that gets used, the more I can successfully push for folks to commit resources and their time to a community wiki. Because if we set up a wiki, that we have to build it and we have to monitor it to make sure it's the information's correct. Or we can take a more laissez-faire approach. But either way, the more that gets used, the more I can convince the folks internally to make some time available to create that. So that's the answer to that. If anybody wants to know where that is, I'll drop the link in chat later. You can create guides about whatever you want as long as it relates to helping people use Sansar. I haven't really taken down anything, even when there was a fairly vulgar guide about aubergine creation, which I am just pretty upset about in general, but whatever. Anyway, the more you guys make guides and the more that pops up there, then the more we'll see the call for that. The market demand, I guess. Okay, when does Gindibble get persistence? I don't know. Who wants to take that?
I can take that.
Go for it.
Oh, go for it.
I was just going to say, if you've got specific use cases for things that you imagine that you would need persistence to be able to do, those types of use cases would be awesome to hear from you, because it will inform our decisions about how we need to build a system to support those types of use cases. That was the only bit I had. Next, go ahead.
I would just add that we are talking about various options for what that might look like, which is why we would love to hear specific use cases. And we are still in the process of figuring out the details of our roadmap for the rest of the year, but it is possible that we might dedicate some time to it, but we don't have a plan in place yet. So we don't have a time frame for you, but we are talking about it internally at least.
Cool. Okay. So the last question, does the Sansar logo represent a donut?
It is what you want it to be.
Art is subjective, so however you perceive it, it can be whatever you need it to be. All right. Next, Majeka, follow-up question. Thank you. So first thing to do would not be wrong to save the quest first.
No, save the quest data often as you want, as frequently as you want. Again, the only time that quest is consumable to a user is when you've put it in an experience and published that experience.
Excellent. Okay. Go ahead.
I'd just like to add to that. So when you're looking at that quest creator tool, from a creator's perspective, I would like to think of it as data, right? Like, so you have title, you have objectives, you want to change some text in that. Go ahead, make those changes and save it. And so saving that is just saving the data. So there's no issue in doing that. That's all.
Actually, I think one of the things we should probably do at the beginning of every product meetup is introduce ourselves in case we've got new folks here, so everybody knows who everybody is.
Good idea.
Sansarians, let's go ahead and do that real quick. I'm Galileo. I'm the community manager. I also do social and influencer partnerships, that kind of stuff. Go ahead, Lacey.
Hi, I'm Lacey. I also do a bit of the community side of things as well as grassroots outreach. I'm a marketing coordinator.
And I'm Alex. I'm one of the product managers here, and I'm focusing mostly on this quest system and interactions and gameplay type activities.
Hey everyone, I'm Kara. I'm a product manager for avatars. You can also shoot me questions on anything related to commerce, documentation. If you have any documentation requests, shoot them to me. Can get those. All right.
Yeah, my name's Istari. I'm the design director on Sansar and handle a lot of the UI UX as well as the gameplay and systems in Sansar.
Hi, I'm Nix. I'm a project manager. I help make sure that we have a schedule and everyone knows it, and try and keep the trains running, basically.
Nibs, you want to go?
Hi, yeah, I'm Niblet. I'm a developer on Sansar, and I worked on the Quest scripting API.
This is actually live.
Yeah.
What? This is live.
Yeah, we're all real people.
I don't think so. I think. Are you guys?
I'm Harley. I'm the team lead for Sansar support. So if you have basically technical issues like difficulty getting the client to start, or something crashes you, or you have questions, just general questions, I'll be your go-to. I also do governance type stuff, so making sure that people are following our terms of service and content guidelines and all that fun stuff.
And then we have Zorba over here.
Hey guys, I'm Zorba. I'm the engineering lead on some of the gameplay features we're doing, questing, item rewards, and whatnot. I also dabble a bit on the social side of things, which is the People app, the favorite chat app that we have. So yeah, if you guys have technical questions, I try to hang out more in the Discord these days. And if you have questions, we have a questing channel. Feel free to post there. I'll try to get help as and when I can. That's all.
Kelly and Zoe are also in here. Some Sansar folk hiding in the crowd. But since they're not up here, I'm not going to make them introduce themselves.
Dude, I think this is going to be like the next big thing.
Oh,
Watch
wow.
out.
Appreciate the
Watch
kind
out.
words. Okay.
I think.
All right. So who has... next question. Cerberus has a question. Is there a known issue with scripts breaking when there is more than 8 people in an experience? Yeah, I saw this conversation happening earlier in Discord. But yeah, what's the deal with the scripts and sort of the max cap?
So it's not an explicit no scripts work as soon as you get 9 people in a scene, but we definitely have noticed in some larger events some script calls are less reliable. We definitely had to do a lot of tweaking for some of our larger events on some of our scripts, for some of our visual effects and our concerts, that kind of thing. And so we know some of the areas where things are a bit fragile, but the more bug reports we get on that one, the better we're able to find those issues and fix them. So it's not an explicit everything breaks as soon as you get 9 people, but if people can submit bug reports for any weirdness they see in crowded scenes, that would definitely help us narrow things down.
I will say that Scurry Waters is pretty complex, and we have had big crowds in there, and nothing really breaks.
Yeah, some scripts seem fine, others seem not fine. That's why if we have example bug reports with specific scripts, that will definitely help us narrow things down.
All right. From Twitch, Loki asks, "Can you please create a snapshot feature for those in VR mode? I want to share my fun times."
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, ideally, I would love for that to be some sort of gesture-based interaction, where like you bring your hands up to your head and you do the mime of taking a picture, and then whatever's in your field of view is saved somewhere.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
That's like a ultimate goal for that sort of feature. But I mean, just generally giving you the ability to, at least with some sort of UI button or controller shortcut, take a picture of what you're looking at would be rather handy.
Great. So with questing, it's been out for a few days. I know Bagnaria and Matty who have been working on some quest, but has anybody else given it a shot? And sort of what's your feedback on it so far? Do you understand it? Are you waiting to create because we haven't, we don't have XP in place yet or rewards? So those are the kind of things we want to hear about right now. If you're not working on it, why not? If you are working on it, what would you want to tell the other people? That kind of thing. Wow, Evo Av. Okay, Evo, I'm going to read this out loud. So everybody, I've got a little novel to read from Evo here. Regarding the experience points discussion we had on Discord last week, a badge achievement system was proposed instead of the... All right, everybody needs to stop typing. Hold on. Okay, here we go. A badge achievement system was proposed instead of the experience point system. That would indicate the level of progress a user has, but is not limited to a single shared number between all experiences as with the experience point system. It would gamify Sansar because it would have a badge collecting element to it and could be embraced by any type of system or even a group's alternative sans the group chat. The key point here being flexibility, allowing any team to define their own badge scheme, just like how the questing system works. The question is really, can you guys please avoid making systems that would have limited flexibility on how we could use them?
Starry, would you like to speak to this?
Sure. Yeah, happy to. So the concept with the experience point and level system is a global across all of Sansar, from a user perspective, how much content from any source have you consumed, whether that be questing or different activities. In time, we plan on implementing additional activities that you can earn experience points for, but to begin with, it will specifically be around questing. And so this would be a single number that we could look at and say, hey, Astari has reached level 8 and some has reached level 25, and it's just a quick number. It's an achievement. It's well known in RPGs and other games. And so we felt like a single system that was a unified umbrella over all of Sansar would be easier for the consumer to understand and deal with and have any experience points gained from any source would all roll up. And so what we're doing is still architecting and developing out exactly how we want to roll that out to the creators so that each of you can just tap into the system from a little drop-down menu, just to assign very easily an experience point award based on the difficulty or the time it might take for a user to get through the activity, and then it all just magically works under the hood. So it's intended to be easy for the consumer as well as easy for the creator and have all kinds of benefits. Now, achievements and badges are also something that we're working on. So I view those things as two different systems with two different purposes. So achievements and badges can show what an individual has done in the product, whether that's maybe you're earning achievements for being a creator because you've got lots of people coming into your world, so you've made some amazing products that are selling on the marketplace. We want to be able to reflect that with achievements and badges for each of you. From a player perspective, maybe somebody's really good at the shooting gallery or at gamification and doing quests or doing different activities within Sansar, even social activities. And so we want to be able to reflect what people are doing in a fun way and have them show it off and get that social identity and hopefully reflect that on the player's profile. So you walk up to someone and click on their profile, and you could quickly, at a glance, get what level they are and get a listing of their badges and achievements as well. And so I think all of these things are on the table, and we're trying to find a nice, happy median for both the consumer and the creator, so you guys can embrace the system in an easy and consistent way, and we'll be responsible for making sure it's tuned and balanced.
Okay, great. That's a lot. So if anybody has any feedback for Astari or any follow-up questions for Astari, feel free to put those in chat. While Astari was talking, Zero Cheese asked in chat, is there an approximate time frame for rewards to be given for quests users complete in our experience? And the answer was, we are actively working on it. And then Zoe replied with soon trademark. So the trademark's there. I assume that Zoe did all the legal work and applied for that in the proper channels. Daisy asked, something completely different. Would it be possible to turn off footsteps? They can be so annoying. Yeah, that checks out. They are annoying sometimes. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it would be nice if the experience audio settings kind of broke down into a little bit more than just experience-wide audio. So you could have like footsteps, media surfaces, objects emitting sounds, all as independent volume control.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I hear you guys there, 100%.
Would we maybe have an additional slider for the footsteps in the sound setup?
Yeah, that's what I was just getting at.
All right.
It'd also be good if creators didn't make it.
Wow, Ebbe with the fire from the back. Ebbe, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, I'm Ebbe.
And I just shoot you all.
Incredible. Okay.
Being honest.
Well, that's the Hemingway approach. So let's go back to the sort of questing. If nobody has any feedback on questing, we can talk about other stuff. But this is your chance to sort of give us your early impressions, and that'll help us decide how to move forward with that kind of thing.
Is there like a shortcut key for the chat button?
Is there a hotkey for the chat feature?
Yeah. The desktop mode.
In desktop mode.
Yeah.
You mean to just start typing into the chat box if it's not selected already?
No, but see, when I press escape, I have to press escape again and then go to socialize and then click on chat.
Well, there's a keyboard shortcut to open it, but then there's no like quick shortcut. Like you can't just press enter yet to just start typing if that's what you're getting at.
Sorry, hold on. Indian, you need to close your mic, please.
Oh, okay.
Thanks, Indian. Sometimes you get feedback when people leave their mic opens. I am always guilty of it, so don't feel bad. All right. Tina asked, can we make it so certain items are only wearable by a certain level of character, like sort of like armor classes in RPGs and whatnot?
It's actually like gating an item on the store behind a certain user level.
That's really cool.
Interesting idea.
Yeah, can look into that. Yeah, and I think there was a discussion about this, small discussion. So there are some ideas being thrown around this.
All right. Loki from Twitch says, Carrie, can you close your mic? From what I've seen of the quest system, it seems currently very linear. Is there a way to choose red pill or blue pill and have the quest branch off in different directions?
You might be able to custom script a way to do that right now. I mean, I haven't tested that exact use case myself. But then in the near future, another improvement to the quest system that we're planning is a way for you to author storylines of quests. So set up prerequisites for a given quest. So you can say quest A leads into quest B and quest B leads into quest C. And that could be one storyline. And then you could have a completely separate storyline that is dependent on that first one, for example, and even dependent on individual quests within that storyline. So at any point you can unlock or even lock certain quest lines based on how far people have made it through any number of your quests.
And I think that will also be helpful with that really tall panel, because right now when you have a lot of things to do, like you turn your wrist and you have this really enormous panel. And I think when you can structure it more, then that can be better optimized, I think.
All right, cool. Daisy asked, can Avatar 2.0 have a bit more friendly underwear instead of the gray one we have now? I've also found the gray underwear to be extremely unfriendly.
Yeah, we can look into that. It's something that we are thinking about changing as to what kind of changes will be made. Definitely the look of it will be one of the things, but the other things like the shape or the amount of coverage the underwear has. So we're evaluating that one.
Yes, please make it minimal. It just gets in the way so much.
Right. Yeah. So we do want to kind of decrease that a little bit further.
We're going to de-amplify the coverage, which is, I know, contrary to everything we've been telling you so far.
It still has to be covered, though. The underwear has to be covered. Ideally. Ideally.
All right. Xander Doom asks, or maybe gives feedback. I wish there was a way to preview the sounds mesh animations in the editor so you didn't have to build your scene each time you want to check the levels.
Sounds, are those three separate things, I imagine?
It sort of just looked like a run-on of words in the question, so...
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. I don't know what we would need to do to make that happen at this time.
Okay.
The new
Go
avatar
ahead.
gonna wear G-strings.
G-strings.
Sorry about that question.
No comment for that.
Ample coverage.
Ample coverage. That's right.
Ample coverage.
G patches. That's better than you don't have a line on this.
Okay, so Harmonic asks, will in the future, will there be an option to edit, like move and adjust items, same as the color stick I have in my hand? Do you want to bring your color stick forward? Where are you, Harmonic? There he is. Okay, color stick I have in my hand, like I want to turn it around or move it up and down and such.
I think the short answer is yes.
Wearable item, like the wings on my back. I want to put it more up or more down. Will it be an option in the future?
Yes.
Yes? Oh,
Excellent.
Great. Thank you.
Oh, excellent.
That's cool news.
Don't have an exact time frame on that, but being able to, in the character editor, be able to adjust the position and scale of accessories and non-rigged clothing, like MD items, that kind of thing, before simulation. Those are definitely on the roadmap.
Great. Thank you.
All right, Carmel asks, I tend to miss new messages because of the order of messages. Usually I'll have the most recent messages at the top of other programs. Will there be any changes there so that it's harder to miss? Or if
That's actually a really good point and an interesting observation.
Mm-hmm.
And we're collecting a lot of information on UI improvements and things that we want to make in the near future, so I'm definitely going to add that to the list.
Some feedback from Loki on Twitch. One of the reasons users might not create Quest right now is because you keep telling us that there are better things coming down the road. Sort of generally, I think that there will always be better things coming down the road, so I wouldn't let that stop you from doing most things unless there's something that is imminently approaching, like Avatar 2.0. I mean, that's how I feel about that. But I take that feedback understandably. But I sort of just to
So
sort of
unlike the Avatar system, where some things are going to break as we improve it, the Quest system isn't the same. So you can very much create, as to your heart's content, with all the tools available to you now, as many quests as you like. And as we introduce more features, you'll just have more potential for those quests. So nothing is going to break. Your quest won't stop working. You'll just have new and better features to be able to support more interesting quests and storytelling abilities with those quests. So if there's a specific feature that you're looking for that you don't have now that you want for a quest, that's understandable. But if there's something you know you can do right now and you're afraid that's going to break, don't let that stop you from making something right now.
Will there be a way to find experiences with quests? Because I think it's such a major potential for the platform because it retains people better, and to, whoever is interested in quests, will there be a way for them to know where quests are to be found?
Yeah, it's a really good point. In the short term, Zorb and I have been talking about using kind of a little hacky way of figuring out which experiences have quests, how many people are interacting with those quests and even completing them, and then doing at least a couple of times a week a report into Discord and even try to feature some of those experiences manually. So we'll kind of try to curate that process a little manually in the short term. And then longer term, we're talking about ways to automatically identify experiences that have quests and create some sort of system that figures out if an experience has a quest, how many people, if people are accepting it, going on that quest, completing that quest, and how many people are engaging with it and coming back to even find more, and trying to create a smart system that maybe will start to populate the atlas with quest worlds. But that's a bit further out. And again, the short term is we'll kind of do like a manual hacky method that we just try to curate and feature things.
Well, whatever we can do to encourage people to do more quests, I think is definitely going to be positive for the platform.
Yeah, for sure. And I also, on that front, think we need to spend a little bit more time writing some more documentation for the types of things you can do, and providing some more even like video tutorials for how to set up basic stuff. I also even want to set up like a template quest world where everything like a quest giver and the quest objects, trigger volumes and such are all set up. So if you just want to hop in and learn how to do it through reverse engineering, then that would be available to you too.
It makes sense.
Also, as with many of our systems, we are constantly going to have new features and extensions in the work. So if you're waiting until we are quote unquote done to start creating, you're going to be waiting a while.
I didn't want to poo-poo Serb and Evo's concerns of things breaking. There are definitely times when things break. Sorry. But there is an issue with guns right now. I mean, you can fire a gun for like 10 minutes and then all of a sudden you can't fire it anymore and you have to drop it and pick it up.
Okay. Well, we'll have to look into that.
Yeah, the more examples we have of scripts breaking, either after you use them for a certain amount of time or if there are too many people in a scene or things like that, definitely let us know. We're always trying to hunt down those kinds of bugs, and they're not always the easiest to reproduce. So the more information we can get about those, the better.
And if, for example, you have a specific experience where this happens to you all the time, point us at it and we'll hammer on it.
Definitely.
All right, so next, Daisy says, hey, Kara, a good option, if possible, so this is some feedback, would be to color the underwear. That would help a lot. So that way it's not always this beige color.
Yeah, that's that's an interesting suggestion. Yeah, we can consider that. One thing we are looking into is just texture layering of the overall skin. So that underwear would probably be something that you can adjust in the future as part of the skinning changes.
Okay, and then Leighton Core says, speaking of mics, we've all encountered bad and or open mics. Push-to-talk has been a requested feature since Sansar's alpha days that would solve these problems and more. For the love of God, can you please just implement this feature and make it the default setting? Thanks.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just a smart thing to do. I can't give you a time frame right now, but yeah, you're right.
Point taken. I think we all agree. Zir Love Anime asks, wait, am I in the right place? Yeah. Can tweaks be made to the VR third person so we can get in close to look at ourselves and possibly move out further as well?
Because you should be able to zoom in and out right now in third person VR. Can you not?
Anime, go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
Hang on. Yes, you can zoom in and out. Hang on, just coming back into VR. If I go into third person and move into myself, I get a bumpy experience. I can't get very close to myself other than up to my hands level. I want to be able to get
even closer.
Even closer, yeah.
Okay. So
and without it doing the jerky back bumping effect that happens.
So the threshold at where it goes into first person from third person is just a little too aggressive.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe stretch it out further. We could go further back from ourselves. That's a wish.
Noted.
Okay. Zero. Well, I guess 3 cheese. With concerts such as the MonsterCon event, where there are several different instances of the experience, can we request that instance? Can we request what instance we will go to until they fill up? Such as in real life, where you can get tickets for certain zones. So always make sure you end up with your friends, for example. Maybe even pay for a VIP instance with friends to avoid the crowds. It may be a way to generate more profit with ticket sales.
Yeah, another good idea. I think internally we talk about something like we call it instance picker, or some way for you to pick which instance you're going to be going into, and even potentially see how many people are in different instances, how many instances there are, who might be in which instance, for example. I think those are all things we want to do, and I, again, unfortunately, don't have an exact time frame for when we're going to approach those types of things yet. But just know that, yeah, those are good ideas that we want to approach.
I believe that's point number 4 for you, Cheese. You're 4 cheese now. Carmel, also, this has probably been asked before. Carmel says, will we be able to adjust individual avatars' mic volumes? It can get quite chaotic when there's more than 4 or 5 people on a mic at a time, especially in a small instance experience.
Yeah, another good idea. know we're kicking around the idea of merging things like chat and the people tool into some sort of hybrid tool, and
please.
I would hope that in there we would be able to like set individual user volume settings, not too different than how you can do it in Discord for servers.
Yeah,
But I'm just kind of spitballing there. That's not my responsibility. I'm just talking about what would be nice.
I will say, feedback-wise, the panel that annoys me the most in the system is the friends one, because like I already see the chat panel that, people panel, and then I have to call the other one just to find out if someone is online or I want to join them, and that should definitely be in one place, or be a tab or something that's close in proximity and connected in that regard.
I completely agree.
I'll just add to that. A lot of us share that sentiment as well. It's just a matter of finding the time to do it. A lot of people feel very passionately about that, so I'm hoping that it gets on the radar soon and we do it soon.
Okay, cool. Naya asked, where to let you know, file a ticket of support. Where do you file tickets? You can go to the, I guess, Harley, you should take this one.
Oh yeah, I actually answered that in chat, but I thought it was specifically in regards to reporting around the scripting issues. So I suggested that either be taken to the scripting channel in Discord if you're on Discord for more direct, if maybe not immediate help, or if you do want to submit a support ticket, as long as you can provide as much detail and hopefully reproducible case as possible, I am more than happy to pass that along to the appropriate people.
Okay, great. Volume asks, any chance to have RGB values in the hair color picker? I think this is along Love Anime's question. And I think somebody said that was a good idea in chat.
Yeah. So I guess, can you tell me a little bit more why RGB is a little bit better than our current color picker, just to get a little more insight on that?
Oh, just to pick an exact value, right? Yeah.
It's hard to match it every time.
Okay. All right. Cool. Thanks. Yeah. We can look into that.
All right. Gindibble apparently got back via Silas. Here is St. Gindibble's insightful answer to the request for use cases for persistence. Don't shoot me, I'm the messenger. So everybody, let's keep Silas safe here. Why would anyone want to save the state of a variable? It's an absurd request. I only asked for it to see if they would fall for it. Well, that's a good trick. Good.
We don't have to do it then.
Good job. You got us. Okay. Feedback from Twitch. Loki Elliott, also when in third person in VR, full body tracking disables. Please fix.
Oh, like the it's not fully disabled. It's just slightly different. Where we don't. I'm not the best person to describe it. Probably stretches, and he's on vacation. But I don't even remember the exact reason we do that. But there was a good one. I would want him to speak to that.
Okay, why don't we save that one for later, Loki. Evo Ava, can we please have a way to limit how many people can join per instance? We have all the tools to optimize for every part of the scene except avatar load.
I want to say yes, but we don't have that on the roadmap to allow you to limit an instance to a certain number of users at this time. That's not to say it's a bad idea, because it's actually a good one. It's just how do we... I think you spoke about this last time. The same question was asked, which it really comes down to like server costs and things like that. So.
I mean, at some point, maybe we can think of a range, because we obviously have the tools to change how many can be in an instance arbitrarily so we have those capabilities. We just haven't exposed it to creators to do it on their experiences. And if the number gets too low, it can really start to rack up costs, right? If you play a chess game where only 2 people can enter, or a single player thing, that single player is then consuming a server, and so the number of users, the user to server ratio can go wild. So at some point we might have to monetize that through some subscription plan or something to cover some of those costs. So maybe at the upper end we can say, somewhere between 20 and 50 or 20 and 60 you can pick, but like below 20 it starts to kind of be inefficient in the ratio, and we might have to charge for it or something. But I think right now it just hasn't really made it to the top of the list of all the things we want to tackle.
It would seriously encourage more people to make games, though, because if you're creating a game and all of a sudden you have 30 people in there, nothing's going to work.
You mean performance-wise, or due to the particular
whether
game?
It's performance or how you designed it. You can't design for 30 people.
So one approach to consider in the interim might be to have a social lobby area, maybe with a with a leaderboard or whatever activities might be done, and then have sort of a gateway, with physics blockers that let some number of people into your game at a time. Is something to consider until we get the tech stood up for it.
All right. I think Ultimate does something like that, right? You only allow 4 people to go up per side or something. Is that right, Cerberus or Evo? All right, answer in chat when you're ready. Loki asks via Twitch, do we plan to support Valve Index headset before Christmas?
For Christmas. Well, we've already got support for the hand controllers. I don't think that we've got headset support work planned before Christmas, though.
All right,
Nick, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it would.
Which year?
It collides on a very constrained resource on the rendering side of our resource pool here, so I'm not sure how long it will take, but it also depends on how many of those units we actually see being in the market. But from last I heard, it's like maybe a week of work or something, and that person is extremely involved in other performance-related activities, I think. So, not sure when we can slip it in.
Yeah, what I think would be a good step to introduce relatively early would be more tools that allow us to analyze where things go wrong, so that everyone can chime in and say, okay, this is the situation where bad things happen.
All right.
I agree.
Anybody else? Okay, there we go. More on the color picker. I think this is from Disney. A color palette would be really nice, so we can drag and drop colors we regularly use into little boxes to keep for later. Like you save the colors you like, so you can keep using them, I guess.
That's a good idea.
Both for character and edit world, I would imagine that would be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then somebody going. Okay, can we have VR diagnostic tools? Somebody asks.
Similar to the desktop ones, you mean? There's some way to see like frame rate and draw call and all that.
I imagine that's probably what they meant.
Yeah, we just gotta find a way to put that somewhere in a settings menu or on that wrist menu. But that shouldn't be a overwhelming challenge.
All right. Silas asks, can you control the experience whitelist via script? If so, you could have a hub for a chess game. 2 people click on something to join the game, and they are added to the whitelist of a second experience, which does not allow anyone else in. And then they are teleported to that experience to play the games. This is a workaround to the inefficient server usage problem.
Well, it's just a way for you to manually, inefficiently manage servers. I don't know off the top of my head if you can do that.
So I don't know how much optimization could be done if, let's say you had a chess experience and you were to split your experience into 4 quarters that are so far apart from each other that they would be able to be optimized against each other, like for one with viewing distances that are out of range, and like perhaps some avatar optimizations where you just know, okay, these don't need to communicate with each other. Perhaps that could be a solution that's more cost efficient.
Yeah, and I think that's what Astari was trying to allude to earlier, where you can set up like a waiting room that is still in the same experience as a bunch of other rooms, not dissimilar to the one we're in now, even potentially. And when you pick a team or a game that you want to play with another person, can you mute, please? Thank you. Then the scripts that you write would move you to the the right area to play with that person, but all contained within a single experience.
All right. India Configs RPM asks. So I believe he's asking for a direct call, a voice chat limited to only 2 people, so they can talk to somebody via voice without having other people hear. It doesn't have to be limited to 2 people, like group voice chats, perhaps.
Hey guys.
Was my mic on? Did you guys hear that?
Yeah. I was
Yeah, it
thinking.
is. ET, close your mic, please.
Yeah, and ET, please put your questions in chat, and then we'll get to them in order. Text chat, I mean.
Yeah, I know that there's a friend that's close to me. There are other guys who are close to me. They also can hear the same.
I cannot hear who's talking.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Why don't you move up closer to the front line of avatars so we can hear you? Wherever you are. Oh, there you are. There you go. Thank you. Go ahead and ask again.
Yeah, what I meant was, like, say I have 2-3 friends online in the game, but I don't want the ones that are close to me to hear what we guys are talking. So can it be limited to like your group of friends, or like whoever? Like limit is in your hand. Who you want to be heard?
Sure, we get it. Okay, so can you limit voice chat to folks at all, especially when there's sort of like a proximity issue in place? Okay, that's the question.
At the moment, no, you can't, unless you were to find a experience with no one else in it and take your friends there. And I don't believe we have anything on the roadmap at this point that would be something like private or a group calling. Or,
it probably would be pig on top of once we get to actual groups and you can have a group, then you could potentially also have a voice chat with just those group members participating or something like that.
What were you going to say, sorry?
I was going to echo what Ebe was saying, that at some point, grouping would help fix that. But in the meantime, correct me if I'm wrong, Zayas, but you could potentially make your own experience and then not have it publicly posted, but still invite people into it.
Yeah, and you can even set up an access group for your own experience and only add your friends to that group, so it's literally a private space for just you guys. So that's one way to do it now.
All right, so I think we're... Oh, okay. ET asks, do you have plans of putting a mobile version of Sansar out?
We're currently not contemplating a mobile version, but we are definitely talking to all the players involved in cloud GPUs, i.e. Microsoft, Amazon, Google, and hopefully, sometime next year have a streamed version so that we don't have to do all the work of completely sacrificing the beautiful fidelity and concurrency numbers we can enjoy here in Sansar. If we were to go make mobile, we would have to make it like max just a 4 concurrent users if you're going to have these beautiful avatars, or make completely different style of avatars that are much more lightweight and also much smaller environments, because phones just don't have the horsepower to do it. So we're more interested in pursuing a streamed cloud GPU solution to it. And so hopefully next year. But we're definitely motivated to do something like that so that we can participate in Sansar regardless of where we are or what device we have.
Great. ET says, got it. Thank you. Got a couple of questions here. We're almost out of time, so we got about 5 minutes left. Let's answer about 2 more questions here. When designing future tools, this is from Arielyn, maybe always consider tool options that an MMO will use. That'll help manage the fact that when in front of an NPC, I can see and hear different things than 5 others in front of it. All right, so consider how current MMOs work, I guess, is Ari's point.
That is exactly what we're doing, and some of the people actually involved with designing the quest system and the actual quest that we're building ourselves have had many years of experience building, and standing right behind me on my left is one of them actually, working on very popular, successful MMOs. So we are actively trying to build lots of or at least the features required, bare minimum right now at least, to get those types of story quests playable and functional and fun. And that includes some of the things that you listed there.
Tina asks, quest support would be problematic power-wise, but are there any plans to support Oculus's next mobile headset?
Not at this time.
Okay. Granddad asked, sorry, I'm almost, okay, I heard you I heard some of you saying that you were talking about persistence. I just finished implementing an external REST service with SQL databases. Who can I talk to at Sansar about persistence use cases?
That'd be me.
Okay, so talk to Alex. And great. So we've reached the end of our questions so far. Thank you all for joining us. Unless anybody has any more questions, we have about 4 minutes left. So, use your time wisely. Ice Cream says, I use Amazon instances to play mobile Sansar on my iPad or phone. That's cool. I didn't know that was a thing. What else do we have? Yeah, regarding I think we covered everything actually. What are things we can try to do besides games in art galleries? Etoibo asks. Etoibo, oh sorry, Ice Cream, what was the question? Write it again. If anybody wants to give Etoibo some suggestions, that'd be really cool. Ice Cream asked, why are quests so important? Ooh, that's a pretty big question. Why are we focusing on quests?
Because we want to give people something to do directly and give them a way to track their progress through those activities, and give a way for creators to be able to more readily inform players of what they can do in their experience. And just like any other game that has quests, actually help them progress through those activities. I don't think we ever sat down in a room and were like, should we do heals or quests? that definitely wasn't a conversation we had, but I don't know what the plans for heals are. That's a Kara question.
Gotcha.
No plans for heals right now. But it's something we do want to support in the future, though, for sure.
Well, the thing I'll bring up about the quest is it doesn't have to be a game. When I was playing around with it, it was quite obvious to me that you could use the quest to just guide people through your experience or tell the story of your experience.
Yeah, a quest can be anything. It can be a guided tour, it can be a scavenger hunt, it can be a combat game if you can figure out how to script that thing. It can be like anything.
All right. I think that's all we've got right now. I wanted to sort of say something else. One of the things that we found keeps people coming back. We've got a couple of new big shows coming up. I'm sure you all have seen the Call of the Wild shows, and we've got some other big events planned. One of the things that keeps users coming back, and I'm sure you're all sort of aware of this, but I wanted to sort of make a request of the community here. We can make events all the time here, but we're only working certain hours of the day, and we can't work 24 hours a day. One of the things that keeps users coming back, we found, is having something to do. So Quest is one way we're addressing this. But I think another way that you all can help people come back, and that means more people in the game, more people to talk to, more people buying your stuff in the store, is holding more events. And I don't want anybody to ever be afraid to hold events. And it can be anything. You guys can host game nights, you can host lectures, you can host watch parties. The other day we watched The Goonies in the community meetup, but you can have movie nights. But the more stuff there is to do in the game, in Sansar rather, the more people will stay around, and that helps all of us. It helps grow the community, helps give you more customers, it helps make the game bigger. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because I know that we host a lot of events, and I'm sure you've seen the events page and you see Drax has a ton of them. But whenever Mario throws one of those dance parties, there's always a lot of people there, and that keeps people coming back. And if you want some tips on like what kind of events you can throw, you can always ask me. Anything is fun. People just want to hang out together and be in the same place and have people to talk to. So I wanted to throw that out there to you all, just to see if if you would do it. And we won't always be around for it, but we'll try to make as many events as we can. So yeah, that's something I wanted to throw out there. And again, some best practices are when there's a big event like the product meetup you see, there's always tons of people here. Host an event right after the product meetup, and then you can just drop a portal and people will go. Or if you see Call of the Wild, which is that big Monster Cat show that now happens on every Wednesday, we usually have a community meetup after that, but after the community meetup or before Call of the Wild, host an event then. So just try to base it around other events, and then after a while we'll have enough events that they'll start stacking on each other, and then we'll sort of have 24/7 programming, I guess you could say. Anyway, that's something I want to throw out there to you all. We can't host all the events. We have, we'd love to, but unfortunately, we're just not around 24/7. So, anyways,
if
love
you
to
need
see you
help,
doing that.
please ask Galileo or me. I mean, we're glad to help give you advice on anything, especially with like music events. I'm glad to help you all get it set up. If you have questions, the more the merrier.
Yes, and set a good example for announcing those events as early as possible. Don't pull a Galileo and do them at the last second. I'm trying to give it a breath. Sorry about that, everybody. I know. But yeah, that's that.
Do events count to our actual experience yet?
I believe it's not supposed to, or rather, they were going to update it so that the event experiences don't count your experience counts. I'm not sure if that's been rolled out already.
No, I mean, does it, like, before when we had an experience, it raised the ranking of our actual experience when we had an event. Okay, now that doesn't happen anymore. If you're wondering why people aren't having events, it doesn't help your experience. It doesn't help you at all. You just have the event and it's over with.
Oh, I see. Yeah, they're currently not tied because when you do make a new event, you do create another experience, basically. So yes, it doesn't tie back to your original experience.
But I also want to highlight that while it might not raise the popularity of your specific experience, and that stinks, maybe that's something we can work on. It does keep people around and allow people to find experiences in other ways. And so, I mean, while it doesn't help necessarily directly in sort of a linear fashion like that, having more people around and trying to discover new things is good for the platform and hopefully good for your experiences and the stuff that you sell in the store and everything in that nature. But that's the end of the product meetup. Again, please throw events. And make quests. And we're excited to get Avatar 2.0 rolling, so I hope everybody's getting pumped for that as well. All right, we're done, everybody. So thanks for coming out, and we'll see you in Discord. We'll see you in game. We'll see you in World. And we'll see you at all these events that you're obviously going to throw now, because I just made the best pitch for events that you could possibly hear.
Sweet. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, y'all.
We're not moving.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Twitch.
Hi, Twitch. Bye, Twitch.
All right, I'm gonna.
You're gonna go back to your
Hey,
area.
Galileo.
I gotta torture them in Discord with you.